What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And in 2021, we reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. And I think we're going to do it again for last year. But as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Two other things I want to add. I am also a contributor to the Fly Nubian Queen YouTube network, and also soon to be a contributor to the Indie Soup Media Independent Coordinators Network that's going to be launching in the next few weeks. And YouTube, on the Fly Nubian Queen YouTube channel, over 550,000 subscribers, and the reach of the Indie Soup Media Network is going to be over 1 million subscribers. So as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We are broadcasting live on January 20th, and throughout most of North America, it's cold. And before we went live, Aisha was sharing stories of surviving Connecticut storm, so maybe she'll explain how she got something new on her finger from the last time you saw her. And so let's bring both of them up here. Aisha, Staggers, LaLa Key. What's going on, ladies?
Hi. Well, hi.
Yes. Which hand up? Which hand up? Which hand
it's
up?
the right hand.
Right hand? Is this the one you swear to take the oath by?
Yes, it is.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying. What's going on? What's going on in your world, ladies?
I think Aisha's the one who's been having adventures this week.
Yes, I think she needs to talk first. Go ahead, Aisha.
Well, I broke my finger.
How?
Like I said, initial medallion I have on my keychain swung, hit it. It's been hurting for a few days, but then I broke down and went to the doctor. Got stuck in snow and ice yesterday. It was an adventure, to say the least, to get home. Took me a couple hours to get home from the time that I left by my mom's house, is where my doctor is, and all the way back up here. And it's 12 degrees, y'all. I woke up this morning. It was warm.
Hold on a second. Where I am here in Toronto, it's the same. So we've been getting the same, if not. Well, the thing is, you've probably got more snow than we have. We haven't had that much snow, but in Connecticut, I guess last week you got really hit.
Yeah, we got like about 5 to 6 inches, somewhere around there. More snow to come later this week. But they said that might actually turn to rain, because it's supposed to get warm by Tuesday, thankfully. God.
I sure hope so. I sure hope so for you guys.
Yes, well, we haven't had it too bad here in Toronto. It's been cold. Yes, it's been cold. But areas of Buffalo, like Buffalo, the main metropolitan Buffalo, got about 2 feet. And then areas south of Buffalo got like 5 feet of snow.
Right.
So they've been really been getting hit hard with the, as we say, the elements.
Yeah, and so Buffalo's about 3 hours from where I am.
Right. Well, I'm about an hour and a half from Buffalo. Hello, Jen Myers. Jen Myers says 14 inches plus here in Cleveland. All right.
Cleveland.
We've had years where we haven't had a lot of snow really lately, but we've had like 36 inches before. It's been pretty bad at times.
See, LaLa just enjoying. No, I don't have to deal with any of that. I don't. We were speaking foreign languages. What's been going on in LaLa as well? Hey, did you get a new vehicle?
I did.
Yes,
I did.
Picture with us.
Beautiful. She's a mini.
Oh, whoa! Very nice color.
Aqua blue.
Nice.
Gorgeous. It's just like the ocean. So nice. I'm having fun with that. Definitely having fun with that.
And see, my car is just like a darker color. That's like a more a teal, but it's that aqua line. Yeah. And so
you see Aisha's eyeshadow? Yeah, it shimmers like that.
Okay. All right. I get all those things down, Pat. All right. So we match. The eyeshadow matches the color of the car. All right. This is good. Well, want to say thank you for everyone who's watching live or listening live or on the replay. If you're watching live, especially, please put in the comments in the comment section. We weren't on Fly Nubian Queen last week due to a technicality, but we are back live on there now. So welcome back, Fly Nubian Queen viewers and watchers. Put in your comments wherever the comments are in. So let's do a few things before we get things done. Going with conversation. Primetime Saturday Show Store. Link is there if you want to buy products. I'll also be sharing it across all the platforms during the conversation while these ladies are dropping knowledge bombs. Also, Patreon, catch exclusive content. Actually, you shared with myself that
and with our Discord.
You had a great conversation on your 10 and 10 this week. Any highlights you want to share?
It was hot.
Nikki Haley took up about a half hour.
Oh my.
We were both on the same page.
It was so funny. Our first stories, each one of us had a Nikki Haley story.
What do you guys what just high level, what did you talk about, dear Nikki, who's making people take notice?
Oh gosh.
Okay. All
what
right.
What did we talk about?
I mean, honestly, she really is twisted. She has a self-identity issue. She really does.
Yeah.
She does. And my topic was about her, claiming that she doesn't want to do any more debates unless Trump or Biden is there. Like, who is she? You are no one, sweetheart. And neither one of them want to speak to you. You're not even going to make it to the next round.
Right. And what was it that I said about her? Because I had a lot of things to say in that conversation about Nimrata from back. Oh yeah, we talked about a lot of things, but we talked about one of the things that we talked about was a policy position that she had in South Carolina back in 2006 when I worked for the South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs, which was a legislative commission started by the Legislative Black Caucus there. And she wanted to, at the time, the HPV vaccine was new. And so she wanted to legislate requiring that vaccine for girls only before they could enter the 7th grade, but not for boys, because at the time the vaccine wasn't ready for boys. And then there was a loophole in the legislation that would allow the pharmaceutical companies to be exempt from lawsuits from families if the girls had adverse reactions to that particular vaccine that only guarded against 4 types of human papillomavirus when there are more than 300 strains of that virus, 4 types that were sexually transmitted. So we knew that these girls weren't, because I worked on a research study at the University of South Carolina on HPV. We knew that the girls weren't getting it from other girls.
Okay. All right.
But that was Nimrata.
Okay. So catch more at the Patreon.
But
catch it all, because it was good.
Yes, it was so good that
we pretty much had to make ourselves stop talking because we had good topics.
We started at like 10:30 and ended at almost 1:00 p.m.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we put it on the Discord. So if you because we want people to see what they can get on the Patreon. Okay, so if you join the Discord, you can see it.
Reading my mind that if you want to join the Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa Discord group, please email me and you'll get access to that content. Also, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show by going to YouTube, subscribing and hitting the notification button. Want to just say also, there is a YouTube short that did fairly well that you two are in, and it seems that there's growing traction via YouTube Shorts on the Dr. I Show from these two wonderful ladies and other contributors. Also, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I host, please feel free to email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And before we get into the topics, let's see who else is okay. We got it all covered comments wise, so let's rock and roll. First conversation piece. Guess what racist move Florida's Board of Education is pulling? What are they pulling?
Well, DeSantis has set everything in motion. Everything is moving according to what he wants done down there. He claims that he's against wokeness, but they have moved to remove anything whatsoever from the DEI programs of the colleges. And therefore, his is a quote. Wait till you hear this quote. This is going to crack me up. They aim to provide students with accurate and factual accounting of the nation's past, rather than exposing them to radical woke ideologies. How? How can you even talk about our nation without talking about slavery, without talking about the Trail of Tears, without talking about everything that has to do with people of color, everything that has to do with building this nation? So basically, they want to just make sure that they take all color out of history and whitewash it with, we came over and saved the world. And Ron DeSantis has set this in motion, and the idiots down there are letting him do it. And they are all pushing for this agenda. And soon, and very soon, it will all be whitewashed. I do not understand. And I know that some people can't afford to move, but I'm telling you, if you don't vote and you start fighting against, start fighting against this stuff, he's going to push you out anyway. Do you understand? Like the things that they are trying to force feed these kids, so-called, whitewashing, I mean, the wokeness thing, and they don't even understand the terms of woke. It's just disgusting. And they also said that they feel that taxpayers shouldn't be paying for anything that supports DEI. How is this? My kids, my children of color, if I was a mother, my child is grown now, but if they were going to school in Florida, I would want them to be taught the true history of America, not what someone else wants them to see. So I don't understand where this is coming from. He just has a deep-seated hate in his bones, just like Trump. He's no different. But I'm not seeing as much fight, guys. That's what bothers me the most about what's coming out of Florida. I'm trying my best to see, where's the fight? Who's fighting against this? I don't see much of it at all. Most of the people that I've talked to down in Florida are just like, yeah, it's a sad thing. Well, if it's a sad thing, why are you allowing it to happen?
Well, we do vote. But you know why they're allowing it to happen even now? Because they just lost a really critical seat to a Democrat that was a Republican stranglehold in their state house. And it is absurd to me, because we're going to talk about this funding issue with regard to another topic later on. But it is absurd to me that he can say that there should not be state or federal funding should not be able to go to colleges that espouse woke ideology. But then again, South Carolina, which is a topic we're going to talk about later, is going to allow taxpayers to pay for a Moms for Liberty charter school. That makes no sense. But you know what? Racism and Florida go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, yes.
You don't have one without the other. And it's absurd that they feel that they can pull federal funding, because federal funding dollars are earmarked for specific things. He can't change that. He cannot change that. So the only thing that he can do is reject the money. But here's some information I would like to just let our audience know. First of all, what he's trying to do, it's going to affect 28 colleges. I didn't see which of those colleges is HBCU, if any, but these are state schools. So I'm not sure if it affects FAMU, but I think it might, but I know some of the other ones it might. But there are 4 HBCUs in the state of Florida. Going to college, the purpose of going to college is to learn about how to live with other people who are not like you, to learn from other people who are not like you, and to broaden your horizons. But do you know that those 4 HBCUs I learned today, after really diving into that article, is that they have an economic impact in the state of Florida of $800 million annually. That's in the tuitions, the expenses that people pay for goods and services and books and all the stuff that goes along with those kids going to colleges. It also means too that they're imparting money into the local economy, because not all students that go to college live on campus.
That's right.
Okay, so they're living there, they're working there, they're taxpayers there. There are a lot of students, a majority of students at HBCUs have to work. And so they're taxpayers there too, okay? So they're not taking money that isn't for them. And that statistic was compiled by the United Negro College Fund. But here's the other thing that gets me. He has the nerve to do this. He wants to remove DEI from Florida, which also in his mind would mean closing the HBCUs. How is a state that is more than $20 billion in debt going to turn away programs that recruit students who have an financial impact on that state of $800 million? This man is turning away money. And if he will do that in the state of Florida, he will do that for the whole country. That was his plan as president. And he might not win this race now, but we should be very fearful for what will happen in 2028 when he tries to run again.
Yes. I don't think he's going to make it this time like you. I feel like he's not going to give up until he's in.
No, he's not going to give up until somebody says, "Ron, it's over." Until his wife says, "Ron, it's over," because she really wants to be first lady. So she's pushing him there. The good thing in all this is that it turns out he's not a likable person. So even Republicans don't like him. So hopefully, look, I never thought I would say this, but I hope that the racist Republicans save us from Ron DeSantis by just not liking him.
But
exactly.
And you're happier that they like the leader of the Republicans?
No, they often go.
No, Trump, here's the thing. Trump will try and do everything by executive order. The problem with Ron DeSantis is that he legislates. He puts things in and through by law. Overturning and amending laws in the United States is very hard because oftentimes it requires that 60-vote majority in the Senate. And if he ends up in 2028, remember, we had a lot of Senate races that are going, a lot of Senate seats, Democratic Senate seats that are coming up in 2028. If he runs then and he wins then and those seats flip, all of the things that he's done in Florida, he will legislate them for the country.
Yes.
Donald Trump will just do executive orders, which if somebody comes in behind him, a Democrat comes in behind him, they can undo them with the swipe of a pen. But when you put things into law in the United States, look how long it took for them to overturn Roe. 50 years.
Yes. Yes. And they planned for that. They planned for that every step of the way.
Right. The moment that it was passed, they started working at overturning it. So it took them 50 years. Okay. So think about that. That's how long it took for that particular law to be overturned. If Ron DeSantis puts these kinds of things into place for the entire country, it could be.
And that's his aim. That's his goal. That's his goal. He wants that. He wants that very much.
It really is.
Okay.
It really is.
Okay. All right. And want to shout out in the house, Dr. Tachi, another featured contributor of the Fly Nubian Queen Network, also hosts the livest online show about media, tech, and pop culture called Mediascope on when it comes back in mid-February, 5 p.m. Eastern Times on Instagram on Wednesdays, and then Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, and other platforms. So welcome, Dr. Tachi. Good to have you here as always. So is Florida leaning to probably maybe the most legislatively racist state in the United States?
Between them and Texas, I mean,
I was about to say, it's a toss up between Texas and Florida.
And Texas, but Mississippi will also enter the chat. Here's the thing: all the former slaveholding states are trying to undo all of the progresses made in the 20th century. Here we are in the 21st century, and they are trying to undo everything that happened in the second half of the 20th century. And that is the purpose. That is their goal. I mean, and remember, they're not taking up. It's kind of like people thought that the Daughters of the Confederacy, the White Citizens Councils, and all those people went away after Martin Luther King died, and then Barack Obama got elected president. Because we jumped straight from 1968 to 2008 in this country, in our racial history, and they thought that no, they didn't go away. They went underground. They were planning. They were organizing. They were fundraising. They were going door to door to door to door to door. And they were sharing contact lists. They were building super PACs. And
exactly, right under our nose.
So they didn't go anywhere. They've just been orchestrating and going. That's why they say go to the dark web sometime, and it's full of these people. That's where they live. And now Donald Trump, the only thing that he did was basically open the curtains, let the sunlight in, and let them say, hey, come out the hole, come out the dark web, come into the mainstream. And this is what it is. But those slaveholding states, they've been trying to do this for decades. And when you look at their state voting rights, it took federal legislation in the Supreme Court to tell Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, and some Georgia, and a bunch of these other states, you have to redraw your districting lines because they are unfair, they are racially segregated, and they are unconstitutional. And those states told the Supreme Court no. They told them no at first. This is the second and third time that it's at this point, it's like they're threatening them with not just withholding the money that those states need, because they take more money than any other states in the union, but also too, they have to threaten them with lawsuits, like personal lawsuits and jail time.
We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't have even been, like, if we had took it back to 1990, we shouldn't have been there either. These states are atrocious, and every time they get into this mess, the first thing they do is talking about we should succeed. That's treason. Bye, go. If I told you that here's my favorite meme when I think about Florida and Texas, I think about that Looney Tunes cartoon where Bugs Bunny goes down there with the saw and just saws them off. That's exactly how I feel.
And it just saws Florida off and lets it sail away.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what though?
Yeah.
You have to be a certain age to remember that cartoon, but let's leave it at that.
You can actually find the meme on Google. Just Google Bugs Bunny cutting off Florida, and you'll see it. They created a meme with it. But Florida, the sad part is that with all of this, because he's being anti-woke and anti-DEI and anti anyone who does not look like him, the population, Florida, you would think that as Florida became less tolerant, the population would decrease because people would want to leave. But it has increased. They have 434,000 more people come into Florida between 2021 and 2023.
Yes, I heard that.
But what they don't tell you is who those people are. Those are the people who are defecting from blue states, the Trump people, the MAGA people.
That's
who are
right.
defecting from blue states to go live in the United States of Florida, where they have their 1950s ideal, George Wallace.
Okay, hold on. You already have a USF already, the University of Southern Florida, by the way. So not the United States of Florida, but
they want to have their George Wallace utopia.
Oh yeah, they do.
Where the governor can stand at the doors of the state university and say, I don't want Black kids. I don't want Asian kids. I don't want Native American kids. I don't want Latinos. I don't want Asians. I don't want gays. I don't want women. I don't want anyone who's not Christian to come into this university. And that's where they're headed.
All right. Well, let's take a look here. Tiffany D. Hello, Tiffany D. How are you doing? Well, Dr. Tachi says, part of the thing is the mass population of Florida is not very educated. When you are uneducated, you are easily swayed and more willing to blame your lot in life on, quote, others, unquote. And
agree. I agree with that,
because she does live in Florida herself, so she has
and
a little bit of
those people that are the population growth that you're seeing are uneducated people.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next conversation topic. Again, if you're watching live, please put in comments, put them up in real time so Aisha and LaLa can respond to them. So let's go to our next conversation topic. Law enforcement investigating remarks allegedly made by Roger Stone appearing to discuss assassinating Democrats. This is a dangerous man.
It's not.
He's very dangerous. He's a thug.
Scary. Yeah, it is really.
He's a thug.
Scary.
And once again, whenever you have someone making these type of threats, especially to any of our politicians, I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, you don't make these type of threats. You don't do that. Don't you know the FBI is supposed to be at somebody's door? Why aren't they at his door? I know that they're claiming that they're investigating him, but I'm sorry, they ain't moving with the swiftness, if you ask me. And he actually said who he said he wanted gone. Literally said they needed. I need them out of here. They need to be dead. He literally said that. But then he came out, guys, and said, that's clearly not me. That's AI.
And that's what they're going to keep blaming this on, because Trump did that too with something that was said by him. People were in the room and heard it, and he said it's AI. You know, Roger Stone should have been in jail anyway for his contempt thing, but he got pardoned by Trump. Remember, Trump pardoned him, and he believes that with this said, if he gets arrested, tried, convicted again on this, that if elected, Trump will pardon him again. And this is what is scary about a second Trump term, right? Because remember, Trump is in court right now fighting for total immunity for the president of the United States. So this man is talking about having Democrats assassinated. If Trump gets in office, Trump, with his total immunity, if he wins this case, can say to Roger Stone, I need this Democrat killed, this one, this one, this one. Roger Stone can go do it or organize people to do it the same way he helped organize people to do an insurrection that no one's looking at him for. But he can do it, and they know that Trump will pardon him, and Trump will get away with it because of total immunity. This is why these judges can't
setting the stage. Setting the stage.
This is why he's setting the stage for and he's arguing that particular point, because he has been telling us he's going to do this. A dictator on day one needs total immunity from any kind of prosecution so that he can go and do these things. And it's just bold. This is what I'm gonna do. This is exactly what he's telling. This is what I'm gonna do. And watch it. That's exactly what's gonna happen. And so bad is that the filmmaker that did the video of Roger Stone saying these things has said, he's been on TV saying, no, he said those things. I did not I did not do anything to that.
Yep.
Okay, all right. So some comments here. Dr. Tachi says, it's AI. It's more like it's a lie.
Yes, I love that.
And Shani says, though, Republicans and Democrats, different wings on the same bird.
You can believe that.
I don't disagree with you on a lot of that. I mean, I think if you watch this enough, you know that we're not really biased when it comes to corruption. So if we call it, we see it. When we see it, we call it out. So that's not anything to make us blink at. I mean, follow us. We just tell the truth. You're going to get the truth here.
But here's the thing. There's a difference, it seems, between MAGA and Republican. And unfortunately, MAGA has poisoned this party and taken it over so much. 30% of them are in control. So we can go in and we can think that right now as far as this election is concerned, but it's a case of, F around and find out.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to be on the find out end of a Donald Trump win in 2024.
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, what we're going to do is we'll take a quick little break. And again, you're watching Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. We're broadcasting live January 20th. We're going to take a little bit about a 90-second break, and we're going to come back and talk about some interesting comments. He always has interesting comments about the former president of the United States that he's made, and also a lady that's rumored who may be his running mate for the next presidential run. So we will be back in about 90 seconds. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Hold tight. Keep it locked.
You know, and that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. You know, seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, you know, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Over, like the twerkers and the, you know, just people that, you know, don't always represent the best of us, you know, the diversity, you know, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. You know, a lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. You know, helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right. We're back on Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Thanks as always to Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. And if you're comfortable, support what they do. They did a very interesting pillow talk today about a rapper who had some very interesting comments about Black women that very interesting. I'll just leave it at that. Very, very interesting commentary. And in the house tonight, Regina, what's going on? Good to have you here as always. Let's get to our next conversation topic. As we said before we went on the break, the former president of the United States always has interesting things to say, and this is another one of them. He's suggesting people who aren't white aren't eligible to be president.
He's orange, so doesn't.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
I mean, and if we go down this rabbit hole, then dumb people shouldn't be able to be president either. And this man barely passed a cognitive test for dementia, not that he considers an IQ test. It doesn't take an IQ to identify the shape of an elephant.
There you go.
Wow.
He has a thing with anybody of people of color, but what bothers me the most, I mean, well, his whole history started with that, but I really love the article that I pulled up on this and what they actually, thank you for putting that up. Mm-hmm. It said, what do Barack Obama, Ted Cruz, Kamala Harris, and now Nikki Haley have in common? They're not natural born U.S. citizens, is what he's claiming. Like, even when Barack proved everything, and he didn't have to, he still was like, I don't think that's real. You know what? This man, please, Lord, why do we have to put up with this orange man? And you're also talking about someone who goes out of country and get these wives.
Right.
And then he gives, you know, they get their little U.S. status, and then he brings over all their family. So if you have such a huge thing against immigrants, then why are you going to get them?
It doesn't it makes no sense. Clothes off, but Melania got genius status to come over here.
I told you, I prefer not to have to know what my first lady looks like naked.
Thank you. But you know what though? I wonder if someone needs to share this article with Tim Scott, who yesterday announced that he's supporting Donald Trump. Oh. After he said that, because Tim Scott, he believes that you're not eligible to be president. Yes. He believes you're not eligible to be vice president, which you're trying to audition for, because remember, that makes you next in line to the presidency.
Exactly.
But Mr. Stephen Fetchit was out there just a cooning it up. Oh my God.
He's so good at that. He tap dances pretty hard.
So is this with 45 saying this? Is he just stoking the fires of his base, just making sure his base is keeping emotionally stoked?
He will do anything for a penny, sweetie.
He will.
All he got to do is just say something that they like and they fall down and worship him. You know, he can actually say the sky is pink right now, and they'd all tell us we was crazy because it's pink. See, that's pink. That's pink.
Yeah.
It'd be blue as I don't know what. I don't understand their mentality. It's the same thing as how cults are. You know, people go, they get whitewashed with these cults. They get brainwashed with these cults. This is so clearly a cult. You've got people who will do absolutely anything for him, and he knows that. So therefore, he does and says everything that makes them happy so that he continues to get the money and the support that's coming in. Clear. Let's make this clear. He don't care about you. He cares about his coffers.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about you.
Yeah. And then he props up to a black and a brown person, Vivek and Tim Scott, to make the point, to make the case of this thing, and the lack of self-awareness and self-esteem, self-hatred of those people. But, you know, we know he thinks this and he feels this, but he always brings it up at what he thinks is a time that's politically advantageous. He's going to this New Hampshire primary. The New Hampshire primary is an open primary. He knows Nikki Haley is relying heavily on the independents, and he knows independents in New Hampshire are not with him. The ones who vote Republican typically are going to be for him. But there is a possibility that he will not pick up those people. And remember, those independents were the independents that helped to give Joe Biden his win in 2020. And that scares him. So he's picking on the one person he really sees in this as his true rival here. But also to remember, Nikki Haley worked for him. So there are things Nikki Haley knows about him. Ron DeSantis didn't. Nikki Haley did. So there are things that Nikki Haley knows about him. And right now, Nikki Haley's always been a coward, so she won't say anything. But she could possibly end him with, just saying, "Oh, you know what? This man wears diapers and he snorts coke." I mean, she could go through all of those things.
But hold on a second though. Isn't 45 at set aside? His supporters don't care.
No, his supporters don't care. But the independence is what he is worried about in New Hampshire. Remember, this is specific to New Hampshire, because once he gets past New Hampshire, he's not worried about what goes on, because it's the evangelical roller coaster at that point. But right now, this is it's something that's bothering him. It's bothering him. And that's when he starts his attacks, because notice, up until this point, he never called her Nimrata when he could have been calling her Nimrata from the get-go when she announced last year. And not only did he call her Nimrata, he wrote it as with a D instead of a T to imply that she's a Nimrod, that she's dumb. And the thing, and she's, I'll tell you this, Nikki Haley has issues with race. Her own.
She has issues with her own self, because she's looking at her own self.
Her own and other people, okay? Nikki Haley is mean. She's nasty. She has poor policies, but she's not dumb. That's the only compliment you'll ever hear me give of that woman. Because I haven't liked her since 2006.
Right.
You go that far back?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Because my first, and I know she'll never remember it, but my first time meeting her, she was nasty as to me in my role in state government.
Wow.
At legislative breakfast, I met her and she was nasty.
Wow.
So
they show themselves early.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to see the debate between you and Nikki Haley.
I would pay for that.
I would sit and wait for her to bring up the fact that she took down the flag, and then I would have to remind her, if it were just 9 Black people and one of those people was not your colleague in the state Senate, would you have taken it down?
That would be worth saying. Now that would be a debate that I would watch.
Yeah,
that's a debate I would do.
Well, maybe what you need to do, if she ever swings through Connecticut and she does a press conference, I'd love you to just shout out something and
I mean,
see how
she's not going to come. Our primary is in April. She's not going to come. She's not going to. She has a potential to possibly win here for the Republicans, but I don't even really know a whole lot of.
Will she even be running by then? Will she even be running by
Right?
then?
Will she even be running by then? And we're a blue state. It's not a state that either her or Donald Trump, even if they were, competitive, would win Connecticut. The last Republican presidential candidate that won the state, if I'm not mistaken, was Ronald Reagan, and that was when he did that 49.
You mean the man that's on Roger Stone's back tattooed? Not Reagan. No, that's Nixon. It's Nixon. It's Nixon. Sorry, correction.
But the one that Republicans can't stop talking about, who literally is responsible for a lot of the problems that we have now in the 21st century because his policies were so
god awful.
He destroyed Black people with his policies in the 80s.
What was the economics trickle down? Was that him?
Yes, it was him.
Yes.
Economics.
Yeah, that really worked well.
Two people who should never be president: an actor or a reality star. Just saying.
No,
but we have both.
I'm with you.
All right. Well, let's move on. This lady, Elise Stefanik.
Stinky Stefanik.
GOP Congresswoman and possible 45 VP pick to hit trail with Trump. I said it, 2024 campaign in New Hampshire. What is the story about this lady? I keep on hearing now her name more and more and more.
Well,
she's been thrown around.
Remember that.
What did you say?
She got Liz Cheney's job, first of all. But Stinky Stefanik, is that girl from 4th grade. And I said this in our Discord, didn't I? She said,
yes, you did.
From the 4th grade that used to eat bologna and cheese sandwiches and had greasy hair and smelled like bologna all day and was sweaty all the time and flustered and wore clothes from another generation. And so she's lived her whole life like this. And then somebody said, because she's that third in line and she's getting more and more, talked about, she probably wants to be mentioned as a VP candidate. She's being mentioned. She had to go and remember those 90s glamour shots? She had to go and get a glamour shot, a glamour shot makeover because
so funny.
They washed her hair. They blew it out.
Just by the way, Dr. Tachi is laughing and she says, yes. Okay, go on.
Yes, they got her a 3-step skincare system from Clinique to get rid of the acne, the sweat, and all the red spots. They had her go to the MAC counter, get her makeup, and learn from the gayest man there how to put on her makeup correctly. And then she bought a stylist that said, you can't wear these granny panty clothes anymore.
That's right. You got to step it up, girlfriend. Got to step it up.
If you want to be a Trump VP pick, you can best believe Trump's not picking an ugly woman if he's got to pick a woman. Because remember what his lawyer said, I'd rather be pretty than smart. So remember, he don't care how smart you are. He cares how you look. So she got false eyelashes and everything. Yes. And she learned how to contour and lip gloss and everything. Now she's out there. She don't go out there without her face beat every time.
That's right.
And then she goes out there and she says the most asinine things, and it's like, oh, you're just a dolled up cult member.
Exactly. She has been definitely on his bandwagon from the very beginning. She was one of the first people who went ahead as soon as he endorsed him. She is a completely loyal ally to him. She has actually been down to Florida several times to his compound. And she's actually called for Nikki and DeSantis to drop out of the race and support Trump.
Yep. And she filed in New York because she is rep from New York. She filed to have all the prosecutors, people prosecuting him in New York, Letitia James, Bragg, have them investigated. And Dr. Tachi, yes, I'm sure she does still smell like bologna, but you know what? I don't think Trump would know the difference because if you remember, Adam Kinzinger said he smells like body odor, old hamburgers, and gas. So
yeah, he can't smell that over top of his own smell.
exactly, it's like together they're a stinky ticket.
Now it doesn't make sense how his wife is always separated from him. Like, did y'all see that this week they was on some kind of campaign?
Project put out a video of the Lincoln Project put out a video of every time that he tried to hold her hand, and she's like, don't touch me.
I don't think she doesn't like him at all. She just knows her position. She positioned herself where she wanted to be, but she wasn't even in the same car with him. She don't like him to touch her. She don't like him to be around her. And it's so obvious, guys, because no joke, when you really look at her and like he turns around and she's like, and then he turns away and she's like,
look,
it's so obvious. Your body language is telling, sister girl.
She did the deed once to get her anchor baby and her trust fund kid.
And that's all she needed.
And after that, she was like, don't ever touch me again. Don't ever say my name.
But wasn't if I remember correctly, a few weeks ago, you also brought up her name in regards to, is it Claudine Gay?
Oh yes.
So she wanted
to get that screen time. Again, that was her audition reel for vice president. you know how you do reels of certain segments, Dr. Vibe, that we put up on YouTube? That was her audition reel. I'm sure that she's had, because notice that we've seen clips of it. You can go on YouTube and see the reel. Yes, that was her audition reel to Donald Trump.
And isn't it interesting how all of them are doing that now? They're all kind of tap dancing. Now, why haven't we seen Three Toes do a little bit more? Because today
you can't fix that ugly.
No, you.
That ugly is so deeply ingrained in the soul of that person. You take
black as
Marjorie Taylor goes home and takes off her makeup, and she looks like that evil gremlin.
God, yes, she does. Oh my God, yes, she does. Yes, she does.
And it's appropriate because she's got the 3 toes. So
yes, she does. But have y'all noticed that she started she started mentioning that bomber again this week?
Oh, you mean her?
Yeah.
That the Department of Justice needs to investigate the FBI.
She started talking about it again.
That went away real quick.
It sure did.
I mean, she's got the
I think
body.
It's a deflection.
She's got John Cena's body with her head on it, basically. You can tell that walk. Okay?
Yeah.
That walk with the swinging of the one arm.
Yes. Now listen, if all these awesome shows that I absolutely love, these true crime shows and all that stuff, Aisha, you and I both know, we know who that is.
I'm sorry. What is my dude from Dateline that I love?
Right. I'm going to need him to step it up.
Keith Morrison. Get Keith Morrison on this. Because I bet you he will find it out a lot faster than the FBI. You know what? Get my internet crusaders. Not even need to get them on it. They already been on it. They know it. Because you know what? The Department of Justice, FBI, they couldn't even identify the January 6th rioters if it weren't for the people on the internet. So I mean,
those are my heroes.
Get Keith Morrison on it. Get
Josh Meskowitz,
all these people, get them on it.
Okay.
Shoot. These internet sleuths are my heroes. They find people within 2 minutes.
All right. So Regina says Tim Miller, the gay former communication director for the 2016 Jeb Bush campaign, said he knew Elise Stefanik back in the day and she was fairly normal, then went off the wall when 45 won.
Right. And I heard him say that too, because remember, she was in a district in New York City that was a swing district when she ran.
Yes.
She was pretty low profile on Trump. Then once she got in, she was like carrying the flag.
Yeah.
If Stinky Stefanik could have, she would have scaled the Capitol building herself and planted that Trump flag.
Just trying to say.
You know what? You know how we have our merch? I bet you if you go in her closet, it's full of merch. I bet you she sleeps in a Trump shirt at night.
She probably
I bet you.
Okay, you know what? My best My best friend used to make fun of
wow.
me for having a framed picture of Prince on my fireplace mantle. This is back in the 90s, right? I have more Prince up in my house now, but back then in the 90s. And she said, "You've got a picture of Prince here like he's your family." I said, "Because he is." I bet you she's got a framed picture of Trump on her nightstand.
Okay.
I take my picture of a Prince over that ghastly man, and you can't tell him he's not fine.
Okay.
I don't understand it. Talking about like he has options. Oh, not my type. You're not anybody's type.
Nope.
And so who's more of a troublemaker, her or Marjorie Taylor Greene in your lady's eyes?
She's more dangerous.
Yeah.
Because she's again, Marjorie Taylor Greene is really just there to be a chaos agent and collect the check.
She's loud.
She's loud.
She can't keep nothing to herself. Mm-mm. This chick here, I don't know. You better watch some quiet ones.
Mm-hmm. She wants to legislate. She will do whatever she can to whip the Republican caucus that it is if Donald Trump won. But remember, she's next in line, so she is in that line of secession at some point. So yeah, she's more dangerous. Marjorie Taylor Greene is just loud and there to make as much money as she can before she decides she don't want to do this anymore.
Oh yeah, that was her game plan in the first place. Her and Bobblehead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the state of South Carolina. And the South Carolina taxpayers set to pay for Moms for Liberty run charter school.
Aisha.
I saw one of these. Look, the Planned Parenthood is on something right now. Okay, they're on one. One was on Joy Reid last night, and Joy debated with her back and forth because about book bans, right? And it was something to see. So if you get a chance, go see that. But okay, just like we mentioned in the beginning, Ron DeSantis said taxpayers should not have to pay for DEI programs.
Right.
But the taxpayers of South Carolina, including my father and relatives who still live there, should not have to pay for the Planned Parenthood to have their schools. And these charter schools this is the thing about the charter schools. The same, I'm sorry, but Black taxpayers especially should not have to pay for a group that had a whites-only Christmas party to have charter schools that are going to use the 1776 doctrine as part of their indoctrination of their students. And you know what bothers me about this thing that people don't really understand it so much is that, you know what? This is the breeding ground that should scare every last one of us.
Yes.
This is a breeding ground for the next white supremacist mass shooter, the next Buffalo store, the next Mother Emanuel Church, next Uvalde, all those mass shooters, right? Next mass shooter, next school mass shooter, also to the next insurrectionist. These are this is who they are raising up and educating in that school.
And proud of it.
And we should be very fearful. They're raising up those quiverful women that just pop out babies every 9 months and the incels that want to marry them.
Yes. And make it arranged. They have their own thing. It's like the Daughters of Confederacy. Let's face it. They all got together, did the same thing. They married within families. They put their children together. This is exactly what they're doing. But what people, and we say it all the time, and I'll never stop saying it because maybe someone new will not understand that these people are going for these lesser roles that you don't pay attention to when you're voting. And that's where they get their power from. Once they get in these smaller positions, then establish their roots, they become a solid oak tree. So you need to be very, very careful about who you're putting in these positions.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I worked as a communications director for a charter school. And so I know how to do the paperwork to do a charter school. And charter schools have to be, for example, they are considered public schools. Okay.
Yes,
they're different than magnet schools. They start with their own school district. So that's the other part too, is that taxpayers are paying for these schools that will not have the oversight of the school district or the government.
It's so frustrating. I feel like we have so many battles, guys. I mean, I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly. I know we come on here and we try to educate and do what we need to do to get the word out. But it's like we have 45,000 battles and 2 swords. And it's every time we turn around, it's something new that we have to slay, a new dragon. It doesn't matter that the dragon sometimes is this big, but if you've got 10,000 of them that you got to slay, that's a problem. But we have to stay woke. I don't care the thing that they hate, stay woke.
I believe in that. I think that it's, again, being in I should say foreign country, just looking at what's going on. We're coming down to a very, I think, a game-changing year in American history.
Yeah, we are.
This is a very interesting time. The Moms for Liberty, they got their voice, and they're not quitting.
These are the daughters of the White Citizens Council members of the 50s and 60s. That's who they are.
Yeah.
Their mothers were the ones that didn't want Ruby Bridges to go to school with anybody. The Little Rock Nine. Those were their mothers.
Yeah.
And grandmothers. Yeah.
And they don't care.
No.
Why should they?
And getting bolder and bolder and bolder every single day. I mean, what really killed me.
What is the background of that organization?
Hate?
Well, how did it? Like, I didn't know
that's where their funding is coming from. This when I say that they are the spawn of the White Citizens Council, I'm not lying. They took the doctrines that they had and how they were organizing and took them and organized. And guess what? They're funded by a man. They're funded by a man. And the woman that was on with Joy Reid last night said something that I think everyone should hear. She was a school board member for 6 years. She was a school board member, but I promise you her kid didn't go to public school.
I bet you.
And the reason that they want to start
what they do.
Right. And the reason that they want to start these charter schools too is because the money goes with the child. So money that would go to a public school would go with their child, where in some places it doesn't. Like, I don't think in South Carolina the money goes. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a long time since I knew about that. But the money does not go with the child to private school because they don't have the voucher in place yet, but they've been fighting for it. But
the key word you just said, Aisha, was yet.
Yet.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that's really scary about the Moms of Liberty chapters in Florida and them doing the bidding of Ron DeSantis, because we've had this conversation a couple of months ago where I said that Ron DeSantis's goal is to privatize all of Florida's public schools, and Moms for Liberty would be with that because he wants that voucher program for the money to go with the kid. With charter schools, because they are public schools, the money that the state or their local government, their cities, because some schools take a per child from the federal government or from their state. If you're a Title I school, those are the poor schools that get federal funding. But states typically make some kind of appropriation that goes to a per pupil appropriation, and then the balance is made up by local taxes, and then some states don't have that. It's just local taxes. So, but whatever those taxes are, because a charter school is no different than a regular public school district, the money goes with the child.
And where does that leave brown?
Exactly.
Where does that leave?
But the other part of it means that if their kids are going to private schools now, they can pull the kids out and the local government can pay for their child to go to school, and they don't have to pay for the private school tuition anymore. That is the whole purpose of this.
Sounds like organize.
Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing I think LaLa and I talked about this in the 10 and 10, and I think I got the messaging right now. Get it together. That's what we need to tell them. Just like you do with your kid when they're not acting right. I used to do that with my daughter when she would like fall apart, and have her little tantrum. Get it together.
That's right. You go to the mom thing.
Right. We need to be like, get it together vote because
Yeah.
the problem of it is that Republicans play the long game. They
do.
play the long game. We're such a big tent party and people with so many immediate needs and things that need to be taken care of that we don't get to play the long game the way that we should. But they will play that long game. And so, what Ron DeSantis wants to do might not happen now, might not happen in 4 years, but it could happen in 20 years because they lined up all the right people in their state legislature to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. They're getting information. Simple as that.
Yes, that's exactly what we talked about. We're like, they took the Beyonce role. They get information.
So did.
All right, let's move forward. The Supreme Court. Conservatives signal willingness to roll back the power of federal agencies. I just heard about this story this week, and this trial coming to the Supreme Court or case, if it goes the conservatives' ways, it could drastically, I'm hearing, change the state of government in America and corporations. What do you guys have to say and know about this?
Yeah, it's really scary because there was this Chevron case in 1984. And where the EPA wanted to roll back regulations in the Reagan administration. So because the laws that Congress makes can sometimes be very ambiguous. And so who gets to decide what the interpretation of it is? And so as it stands now, the government agencies get to make those determinations. Well, in 1984, guess who was head of the EPA? Neil Gorsuch's mother. So Neil Gorsuch has had, his panties in a bunch over these regulations and the regulatory power of federal agencies. And so he's voted against them in his whole career. So we know where he stands and we know that they have the majority to do this. And right now, the argument is over this Chevron doctrine Chevron defense that will allow for federal agencies to have the leeway to determine what Congress means if Congress isn't as specific as they should be in their laws regarding regulations and regulatory statutes. So this is something that we should watch because remember, this is going to affect our food, our climate. If they don't allow the USDA or the FDA to oversee and determine what things should be regulated in terms of what goes into our food and our medication, we are really going. I mean, they put it this way: they had rolled back some of those. Congress had allowed them to roll back some of those regulations where they're making it in a couple of years legal for these companies to be able to sell cloned meat to fast food restaurants. So these are the kinds of things that removing this Chevron defense will do.
What's the reasoning for the conservative wing to want this law rolled back?
More money. The less regulations, the more they make.
Remember the people who are putting money behind their campaigns, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Why do you think this got to the Supreme Court? Because the lobbyists who put money behind all this are up there. That is why. Yeah. And you are right, JJ Mars.
JJ Mars, good to see you as always from Colorado. What's the temperature there? The last time you were on one of my conversations, you were saying it was like -2 in the morning. So definitely give us a weather check, but also you're also saying, to sum it up, the American empire is on its downfall.
And it has been for
a while.
It really has been. Look, it really has been for a while. And we go back to all of those gains that were made in the 20th century, right? It's just, think about all of the things that we have been able to achieve those last 50 years of the 20th century as a house built with bricks. They're taking it apart brick by brick by brick by brick, till it gets to a point where it is no longer viable and will fall apart.
Jenga game. Pull the pegs out.
Yes, exactly. They're playing Jenga with our lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that in Django. I like that. That's a good analogy. All right. So we always try to end off on a good energy. We try as much as possible. And we have a good energy story. The New Jersey town swears in its first deputy Black fire chief, Aisha.
Yes, the town of Paterson, New Jersey, not very far from here, a couple hours, has its first deputy Black fire chief. And the great part of this is that the day that he did his first day of training was September 11th, 2001.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was the day that they'd watched a lot of the fire chiefs and fire houses members die. Like firehouses lose their entire or almost all of their employees in that tragedy. So he's been working on it. It's historic. Unfortunately, we mentioned this last week. It's sad that we're still having to do all of the first, because we should have had these things. If we, going back from 1619, we should have had all these things. But it is very nice to see it when it does happen and to acknowledge it, because he worked very, very hard to get there.
Yes. That's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's an amazing thing.
Yeah. And you remember, if it's a person who's been sworn in, 9 times out of 10, they've been elected.
Yeah.
So good job, Patterson. And his name is Michael Hall, just so you know his name.
Excellent. Well, that's a wrap. That is a quick conversation today, ladies. I know
wow, we flew through that.
You know what? You need to hear the rest of it on the
10 and 10. Yes, that's
10 and 10.
That's what I was thinking. Yes,
that one we mostly talked about everything that we were.
So yes, I got that's like really quick, but I'm going. It makes sense. They went on for a minute.
It was like an hour and 40 minutes almost. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we'll Aisha, I know I got your message in the back channel. See if it can be put on another platform. We'll leave it at that. So as always, I want to thank everyone watching live or in the replays or listening. One thing I haven't told people, you can also listen this via podcast on all your podcast platforms. And I'm also working to get these audio versions put on YouTube. We're working on that also. So you can listen to it audio-wise on YouTube. But that's a work in progress. But as always, I want to thank the ladies for taking time out of their positive, productive schedules. 2 of us being cold, 1 of us not having to deal with cold. The one who doesn't have to deal with cold. How do we get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on all these social media streets under Living the LaLa Life.
Easy peasy. Next up.
You can find me at Instagram, but I am mostly accessible via our Discord channel.
All right. Well done. There we go. Excellent. And with myself, there's a few ways you can get in touch with me. Website, the VIBESHOW.com. You can get in touch with me via YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, the VIBE Face Show. And then Instagram at the VIBESHOW.com and X at VIBESHOW. So a few final comments before we kick off here. So JG Mars says they've got a heat wave going on now. It's 33 degrees, and that's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. But I know the last time he put it out there, it was -2 degrees. So they've got a heat wave going on. Also, too, great show, Jen Meyer. As always, thanks for everyone watching live, especially on whatever platform you are watching on. Thank you so much for listening to the replay. So just to sum up some things, Primetime Saturday store, there's the link. Primetime Patreon, where you catch even more of the conversation. And then join the Discord group. Email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, and also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And also to advertise your business product or service on the platform, please email me, dr.vibe VIBE at the DR, VIBESHOW.com. And then the last thing, you can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe platform on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and the website, the DR, VIBESHOW.com. So as we sign it off here, if your life is a dream, if you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher and wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. And we'll see you next week. And in between, watch the replays, watch the stuff. Check us on Discord. Check out 10 and 10.